I often wonder if I was in that situation. Like, there's times where I felt like I didn't get a job. I came home and told my wife, "Oh man, that was not a good interview. I did terrible." And then 2 days later, they call you like, "Hey, you want to extend an offer?" Like,
Are you sure?
was there something else I said that
Yeah.
I don't remember saying that really, won them over?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's cool. I really, I think what you all do is just it's kind of next level. I don't know if you hear people talk about that. Now, let me switch to your family just a little bit, and let me ask this. So you said your parents are still alive.
They are.
You've got 3 older sisters.
Yes.
And now you got children that are older. One's in Chicago, one's in Nashville.
Yes.
Are any of them? Are you able to take this work home in a way at all and share it with someone and bounce ideas off?
No.
Or are you you're just on a different in a different plane?
Yeah, when it comes to home, I'm on a different plane. That's not really true. My dad, he's 90.
Okay.
And he was a plant manager at Cutler Hammer, which eventually became Eaton. So he was in management his entire, or the latter part of his career. So from a management perspective and how to run a business and how to treat people, he's always someone I go talk to about that kind of stuff. His best advice to me was just treat people like you would want to be treated. I know that's the golden rule, right? It's a very simple thing, but in reality, that's a good model. But my wife is she was a first grade school teacher, so we absolutely have nothing in common when it comes to going home and talking about electronics or software development and things like that. So,
Which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, it's probably a good
when
thing.
you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Now, but what about who else? Was there a friend circle or somewhere else in your extended family that you would tend to be able to talk to and they could follow along when it came to Firefly or Loki, and or was that just strictly a work thing?
Yeah, it's pretty much a work thing. I mean, I talked to people at work about it, and I had an uncle one time. He built an electric car back out of a Honda Civic back many years ago, many decades ago, and things like that. And he was a really smart guy, and I could talk to him about things like that. But he passed before I really before we started in Variant. So, but yeah, there's really not somebody from a family perspective. My daughter's a nurse. My son works for Captivate IQ and software company, and so there's no one else in my family that does the same line of work that I do.
So then you grew up in Arab, and is it true? Someone mentioned to me the other day that it originally was supposed to be Arad. And then they messed up something in the way they registered it.
Yeah, that's kind of embarrassing, right, to bring up on it.
I don't know. I just was wondering. I don't remember who I was talking with about it.
So the town was named after Arad Thompson.
Okay,
that's the individual. So the town, and they sent the paperwork in, and they swapped the
D and the B.
D and the B. And then it's like at that point, it's like, oh well, we'll just keep it. I guess I don't know. But
okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That story's exactly true.
So when you were growing up, did you just gravitate towards engineering? And obviously you became an electrical engineer and you studied that at Auburn.
Yes.
But you were tinkering things where your sisters and your parents were just like, this guy's odd. He's like getting the chemistry set at Christmas and the rest of them are
a little bit.
Not.
It was really more of like, hey, this toaster's broken, let's throw it away. And it's like, whoa, no, let's see if we can fix it. Or so it was really more just always wanting to tinker with things and try to fix things and try to figure out how things worked. And my dad we'd be out somewhere driving, and he would always point things out. And he's, how do you think that works? Or what do you think about that? How do you think they did that? And so he's always trying to challenge me and make me think about things from a technology perspective and how things work. And so I think it was just that aspect of it. That was kind of just the way I was built to tinker and want to play with things and build things and whatnot. So.
Do you think it was he didn't know, or he knew and it was just testing you, or kind of a combination of
the two?
I
think he knew and he was just testing me. And in some cases, so they developed it, Cutler Hammer and Arab. We moved to Arab because the Cutler Hammer plant moved from Milwaukee to Arab, and they opened up a plant there. They built portable speed control switches for drills, essentially. And I remember one Christmas they brought 3 drills that were battery operated home, and we were playing with them because the battery would burn out after like 3 or 4 uses. And what I didn't know is like that was one of the first battery operated screwdrivers that was ever developed, right? And they were working on the switch and the electronics involved in that to make that work properly. So there was always stuff like that, going on.
Yeah.
That was intriguing. So
what about, did you do like a science fair project or have an opportunity to really kind of showcase this engineering mind?
No, I really didn't. At that point, nowadays they have the robotics class, and they have so many more cool things in high school that kids have opportunity to participate in.
Yeah.
And I was more involved in sports in high school. I played football and basketball and golf, and so I was really more involved in sports than I was anything else, which I think was really good for me because that working with a group of people, trying to accomplish something that you didn't think was something you could accomplish, and working hard and practice and things like that, and actually being able to get through something that you didn't think you'd be able to. And so I think a lot of that is helpful in life in general, being able to just work with a team, work with a group of people, and accomplish something that maybe you didn't think you'd be able to accomplish. So I think the extracurricular activities at schools today are so important in that regard. I probably learned more from some of my team activities and sporting activities in high school than I did in anything else.
Did you guys have some good success at Arab High School?
Not really.
No.
We were kind of 50-50. So
yeah. What'd you play in football?
I was a tackle, offensive tackle, and defensive end. So I was on the line.
Were you about the same body shape you are now? Or were you?
I was smaller.
Really?
Yeah, I was a lot smaller then. So
sometimes you never know. Like some guys are like 350 and then they end up
I think
losing
in
weight.
My freshman year in college, they call it the freshman 15. For me, it was like the freshman 40. Unfortunately. So I put on a lot of weight early in college, and unfortunately, I've kept some of it. So
what about your golf though? Were you a standout golfer? Or like
I was okay. I was probably like about a 5 handicap,
okay,
or 4 when I was playing my best. And then my son, we played golf when he was a kid, and he turned out to be a pretty good golfer. So I started living vicariously through him, watching him play golf, and which was a lot of fun. So he got to like about a 2 handicap. So
nice. Do you remember? I know the story of it, I think, but you were here when the Trent Jones Trail was built.
It was.
Right?
Yes.
Now, so I've never really asked anybody who's lived in Alabama how aware they were of that. I'm assuming if you were a golfer, you were aware this was all happening. My understanding is like a former doctor, somebody had money. They wanted to build an entire... So the trail systems there are other trails in the country, but it's more of an existing course. All these existing courses might get together and say, hey, we should do this cool concept and have destination golfers want to come and play our course or our 2 courses and then kind of move on. The Alabama Trail was highly unique in that they designed all of them for the most part. There has been some exceptions at the same time and built at the same time and opened up, I guess, presumably about the same time.
Yeah.
And so therefore you have a consistent look and feel and experience as you move from as far north from the Shoals all the way to Mobile.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But were you aware of this? Was there excitement to participate in to play the Robert Trent Jones Trail? Talk me through that.
There was. I remember we were going on vacation and we drove up to what's now Hampton Cove, and there was a dump truck, and that was it. There were no houses. There was nothing there. And there was just a rumor at the time. I think it was a rumor that Nicholas was going to build the course, But anyway, I can remember there was excitement at that point when there was just a rumor, hey, they may build a golf course here. So and then that evolved to what it is today. And it's really great because people come from all over the country, to play, and they'll come for 3, 4, 5 days and go from north to south part of the state and play the different courses. So, and then it's great too, because a lot of the, so when my son was playing, a lot of the events like the state champion, the high school championships. So there's a lot of events now, or they used to. I don't know if they still do. They would play on the trail, so it was an opportunity. People would strive, hey, if we can get to the state championship, then we get to go play at Ross Bridge or go down to Auburn and play go play on some of these courses. And then there's some junior leagues and stuff to play on a lot of the courses. So it's great. Unfortunately, they're really long courses and they're really a bear to walk. But yeah, it seemed like a great thing for the state, and a lot of people play on the trail. Do you play golf?
Yeah, I do. And I remember I was a junior in high school. You're about 10 years older than me. So I was a junior in high school working at a golf range, and somehow in Virginia, I became aware of the Trent Jones Trail. Yeah. And it must have just been built like early 90s, right? Yeah. I think is when it was built. And it stuck in my mind as something I wanted to do.
Right.
And, any golfer that grows up, we've talked about, I just had Billy Collins on here from Poker Cows.
Yeah.
And he's playing Pebble. So he's going to go play Pebble for his 4th time.
Yeah.
And he plays in Vegas a lot. And he was telling me the story of Shadow Creek in Vegas.
Yeah.
Where it's a MGM property, and you have to have be $30,000 in the hole.
Really?
In order to play. And he's like, so you have to be a loser to play here? And they're like, yeah, basically.
Well, that's kind of weird, isn't it?
That's on the weekend. During the week, you can pay $1,000 to play it.
Yeah.
But on the weekend, you have to be an MGM, registered gambler and be, $30,000 in losses.
That's interesting.
Yeah, which is weird. But so you grow. I was a huge golf fan. I'm watching TV. I remember John Daly, right, at the PGA when he won that at Crooked Stick, and so there's all these destinations that in your mind is kind of like this bucket list of, I want to play TPC Sawgrass. I hope to get to play Pebble. I want to play Torrey Pines.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I wanted to play the Trent Jones Trail, and then ultimately in 2010, my buddy gets practice round tickets to the Masters.
Yeah.
And we started looking at this like, well, wait a minute. Normally we do a golf trip every year. Let's think through this. We should do a golf trip down, in Atlanta, and then we'll go over to watch the tournament.
Yeah.
And then as a part of that, we played a bunch of courses in Atlanta. We decided to come over and play the one in Auburn, and we fell in love with it, of course, because that's one you were mentioning. I think the Senior PGA played the Champions Tour, played an event there within the last 5 years, and so. Then the next year we were back, and then the next year we were back.
Yeah.
And now we've played Mobile, we've played all of Huntsville, of course. I shouldn't say Huntsville, Muscle Shoals, Silver Lakes, Gadsden, I guess, has one. There's only like 3 left.
Yeah.
And those are more of like it might be like Cambrian Ridge or something, like the kind of the central, south central, west,
like
or
Greenville
eastern
area.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one?
I think I like the Fighting Joe, which is
that's my favorite one.
Fighting Joe.
Joe.
And what's the other one? The
other one's a Schoolmaster.
Schoolmaster. I think I like those.
The Fighting Joe transitions almost like from a links course, and then it goes in the transition to something a little different. It's really a challenging where it's got water on one side, and I've never been a huge fan of the tall grass because I hit the ball a yard out of the fairway and I can't find it or something. But the Fighting Joe has been my favorite. So
the Hampton Cove one wasn't my favorite, although there's a hole on the front 9 that's very memorable. Like any of those like really short par 4s that really make you think.
Yeah,
those leave an impression on me.
Yeah,
and there's that par 5 with the barn that's just
that's kind of cool.
Sticks in my mind.
I like the risk versus reward where you have a par 5 and you can go for it in 2, but if you don't make it, it's gonna hurt you. Like put it in the water or something like that. So it's always that risk versus reward.
Yeah. And when we played Silver Lakes, the tornado had gone through there in 2011.
Yeah.
And we played it in 2012, and it was like, whoa. It was very noticeable, of course, that they lost a lot of trees.
That's a challenge.
Just opened up.
That's a challenging course. I think a lot of their greens are kind of elevated with the big mounds, and if you miss the green, it makes you pay.
I think I liked Oxmoor Valley too.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course Ross Bridge is a really nice big championship.
I haven't played
course.
that one yet.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Now Mobile is where they took Lakewood, which was not a trail course, but Lakewood I think was a Marriott resort, and they bought them and made it a part of the trail. So there's that one, and there may even be one more where they bought it.
Yeah.
Because they needed something like Mobile's. It's separated quite a bit. There's supposed to be some rule with the trail that they're not supposed to be more than like 130 miles apart. for you drive so that you can, realistically get to your next destination. What we do is we play 36 a day. So we'll take the 7 a.m. tee time, then you get a voucher for lunch, then you play the other course on the property, and then we drive to dinner, and then we drive to the next city, get a motel, and repeat, right?
Right.
And so I think they did the Lakewood just to have one additional site down there.
Okay.
And somewhat bridge the gap between, the other one in Mobile. But, man, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I don't play near as much as I used to. But,
Did you go do you go on an annual golf trip or anything like that?
No, not really. Nowadays I play, if I play, it's like a 4-man scramble,
Yeah.
like a fundraiser type thing, which is so much fun because if you just hit it in the woods, you just go to the best ball, right? So it's a little bit less stressful.
I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast or not, but one of the things that became somewhat of a deterrent for me, I went to go get fitted for like new irons.
Yeah.
And in that process, of course, now there's all the technology, there's all the tracer, and that's become so like commoditized in a way. Like you can go to any driving range and someone's got their little tracer technology and they check their phone. But I almost it almost gave me too many stats and it kind of scared me because I was like your son. I got down to about a 2, but to go from a 2 and go the other way to be like a +2 or +3, I don't have time for that in life. That's way too much commitment. And so then, I'm just trying to get fitted for clubs. Like, well, your smash factor's off and the launch angle. And I'm like, I just want to play golf.
Yeah.
I really don't want to get that involved where I'm just constantly thinking about it and tweaking it. And then to what end?
Yeah.
I'm getting old enough now. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah, it's hard once you get to that point. You've got to be able to putt and chip if you want to keep going, right? So, and that just takes a lot of practice.
So your wife was a teacher.
She was.
First grade, is that what you said?
She taught some first grade and kindergarten were the primary 2 grades that she taught for 25 years.
Down in up here in Huntsville?
In Arab.
In Arab.
She taught in Arab, yeah.
And then you commuted, essentially.
I did. I drove back and forth from Arab to Huntsville. So, yeah, she was teaching in Arab. She got a job there right out of college. And, we both were from Arab. We actually went to school together in Arab.
Yeah.
And great community, great people, and great place to raise a family. So, yeah, that's where we put down our roots after we got married, and she taught there for 25 years. She took a few years off when the kids were born and stayed home with them. Mm-hmm. But then she taught school for a total of 25 years, and then after that she retired. So, then it was like, well, let's move to Huntsville, right? So we're on the south side of Huntsville.
Yeah.
Still close. Her parents are both still alive, and they live near Arab, and mine are as well. So it's not very far drive down there. We really like South Huntsville. So
that's great. So your grandkids still have great grandparents.
They do.
2 sets,
which is amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yep.
And then so you said like family vacation wise. What's the 30A again? You mentioned that, I believe.
That's a little strip of road between like Sandestin and Panama City Beach.
That's right.
It's like Seaside, Seagrove, and all that. There's just a lot of places down there. The beach is really nice there. The water's really clear. It's kind of a nice area. And then St. George Island is another one that's further east. It's a little bit more secluded, not as many people, and there's no high-rise condos or anything like there. So it's really depends on what you're looking for.
Is that an annual destination?
Yeah, it usually is. At least once a year, we'll go down to. We used to go to Fort Morgan a lot near the Gulf Shores area, and so we either go there or 30A or to St. George Island. So.
Mm-hmm. One thing I learned, we went down to Gulf Shores, so this is only our second summer here, and I learned, we'll go down and I like to do jet skiing and sometimes we'll go maybe rent a fishing charter or something like that, get on the water. But, Alabama's a no-wake zone area.
Okay.
And so it really doesn't do you any good to rent a jet ski. So if you're going to rent a jet ski, do it like at Floribama if you're down in that area. Yeah. Because in Florida, you can open up and do all you want. But, like, I guess on the Alabama side, no. So if you rent in Alabama, then they're going to make you just no-wake, what do they call that? Troll on out to once you cross the border, then you can rip it.
Then you can go. Huh?
So you got to be careful.
Yeah, no wake on a jet ski. Where's the fun in that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're just kind of idling and idling. It's like, yeah, you're gonna idle for about 2 miles until you hit the Florida line, and then off you go.
Yeah,
I learned that last year. But man, I just love being in this area.
Yeah, it's nice to have so accessible to drive down to the beach, and we've got great beaches down there. So it's a lot of fun.